we've got FIBA Media Officer and Gilas Youth Assistant Coach Enzo Flojo back in the studio.
Hope not.
Hey guys.
The lucky charm.
Glad to be back.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us again. You were with us on Wednesday
Yeah.
and your fearless forecast.
I'm just happy I did not jinx the team.
You did it. Can you also predict that Cheska and I, ito, mayaman eh. Like, can you predict na I'll win the lottery or something? Or...
Well, I can't predict the 6 numbers today, but we'll
Hindi,
see.
kasi
We'll
tama
see.
eh. But Ches, go
Okay,
ahead.
but let's start with Gilas versus New Zealand because
Yeah.
we talked about how they hadn't beaten New Zealand in recent history.
Yeah.
And finally, as
Yeah.
everyone was saying, the Kiwi curse is broken. How did we? I mean, did we talaga? Kasama tayo.
We're cheering.
how did
Ng Pilipino
Gilas?
kasama. Well, we played as well as we hoped. No, I mean, we surprisingly we out-rebounded New Zealand. No, I thought that Kai, Junmar, Scotty did a really good job. Justin, of course, with 11 rebounds as well, did a very good job on the glass. We out-rebounded by 13 rebounds.
Yes, 44 to 31,
which
correct.
was for me one of the biggest factors why we won that game. We had only 8 turnovers for the whole game, no? So that was a big factor. Also, even if New Zealand actually made 18 threes, we were able to compensate because we were much better shooting from in the two-point range naman around the basket. Kai was a big part of that, of course. 19
Yes.
points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, as Dre said earlier. So all around, we shot really well. We rebounded better, had fewer turnovers, and we got to the line 20
A lot better,
times.
yes, compared to
We
their
were
12.
disciplined on defense as well. So down the line, we played really well. And I think that Coach Tim Cohn made great adjustments. No? We started the first 3 quarters flat. No? First quarter, I think 8-0 run New Zealand. Second quarter started flat. Same in third quarter. But he made good adjustments, and because of that, we were able to really catch up and turn the tables on New Zealand.
We're looking at the numbers right now on our screens. Nabanggit mo nga yung three-pointers mid lamang nga New Zealand dito, shooting 51.4% compared to our only 29%,
Yes.
8 out of 27. Pero we shot better naman from the two-point area, 58% compared to their 45%.
That's true.
So as we're looking at the numbers now, we are talking about how big Kai Soto
Yeah.
was. Arguably his best game.
Yeah.
Gilas uniform. Brownlee doing Brownlee things. Junmar was also solid. Scotty was all over the floor. Who for you was the big X factor?
It was Chris Newsome. I mean, there's so many players,
Yes.
like you said, Dre, who played really well. No? Kai with the almost triple-double.
Yep.
Brownlee with the double-double, which surprises no one, actually. Junmar didn't play a ton, about
Yeah.
16 minutes now or something like that.
Very efficient.
But he was efficient.
Yeah.
Scotty obviously did really well. But Chris Newsome,
Oh, yeah.
he did not have the most ideal start to the game because he actually had 4 fouls by the early part of the third quarter.
Yeah.
So he had to sit down early in the second half. But when he came back, that's when you could notice that the tempo changed.
Yes.
He played great defense on
Defense,
Corey
yes.
Webster in the second
Yes.
half, which really slowed down
Oh, yeah.
the ace shooter for New Zealand, and obviously hit that big 3 late in the game that really kind of sealed the deal for Gilas. So I think Chris Newsome on both sides of the basketball, offensively and defensively, was an X factor for our team last night.
Actually, you know who he kind of reminded me? Watching like Gabe Norwood. Remember when Gabe was like the defensive stopper in international games?
Yeah, and hitting big shots.
Big
also,
shots
yeah.
as well. Parang ganun yung ginawa ni Chris Newsome last night against New Zealand.
I think that's a fair comparison, Dre. No? I mean, Gabe Norwood, 3 and D guy. That's exactly what Chris Newsome did last night. That 3 he hit actually in the fourth quarter. No? That was his only 3 of the game. Before that,
Yep.
he missed like his first 3
shots,
attempts,
yes.
no, from beyond the arc. And for him to take that shot with so much at stake, no, late in the game, it really says so much about the guts he had and the confidence he had in the team. No? And that's why he's, for me, the biggest X factor for Gilas.
Speaking of Gabe, he was also there last night supporting
Yes,
Gilas.
for sure.
Let's look ahead to Sunday.
Uh-huh.
We've beaten Hong Kong before.
Yeah.
But this current lineup, this current Hong Kong team, strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, so this Hong Kong team, I'm not going to overemphasize or over hype this Hong Kong team because if we're being completely objective, it's not a very strong team that they have. No, they have some interesting pieces. Their big man, Duncan Reed, 6'8",
Yep.
solid rebounder,
Yeah.
solid scorer around the basket. But if we're going to line him up against Kai, against Junmar, even Japeth, no, definitely our big guys would have the edge on Duncan Reed. Unless, they get into foul trouble, they become careless and stuff like that. The other guy I would probably focus on is 6'1" shooter named Oliver Shu. And I think he was the leading scorer against Gilas in the first window. And I think he was a leading scorer also yesterday against Chinese Taipei. So Hong Kong lost that by 30 points as well. They're going to fly in. I think they're already here actually. And they're going to play against a confident Gilas squad. So I think it's going to be a very, very tough game for Hong Kong. They're a pretty decent rebounding team. They actually out-rebounded Chinese Taipei yesterday. They're a scrappy team and a quick team. But in terms of depth, in terms of size, outside of Duncan Reed, they don't really have a lot. No?
Yeah.
So I think the odds are really stacked against Hong Kong.
I was about to ask, how does Gilas stack up against Hong Kong? Well, obviously Hong Kong is the underdog here.
Yeah.
Kumbaga, we survived already that tough test, which is New Zealand and Hong Kong. We wouldn't say easier, but it wouldn't be as tough probably as New Zealand. But knowing Coach Tim Cohn, he won't take any
for sure.
opponent lightly.
Yeah.
He did say earlier, and we heard him, we haven't seen the best of Gilas Pilipinas yet. Remember, Jay Malonzo still out. AJ Edu was big in the World Cup, still out.
Yeah.
We didn't see Mason Amos,
KQ.
Kevin Kiambao even play. So, do you agree with what Coach Tim said na we haven't seen the best that this Gilas team has to offer yet?
Oh, for sure. I mean, in terms of personnel, I don't think, if you ask Coach Tim, who's your best 12 right now? Barring, no limitations, no constraints whatsoever, I don't think he's had his ideal 12 yet, on the floor. So I would agree with him when he says that this is not the best 12 yet that we've seen for Gilas in terms of depth, roster-wise, and even in terms of the way they play on the floor. I think may ibubuga pa to, especially against tougher competition moving forward.
Okay.
So when we do talk about Hong Kong again, we've beaten them. How do we beat them again?
Just play our normal, steady game. No? I think the only way Hong Kong can really make this extremely competitive is with two things. No? First is if Gilas becomes very complacent and careless. No? And indicators of that are a lot of turnovers, a lot of city fouls. I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to be disciplined. And lastly, if Hong Kong waxes hot from long range, if they hit upwards of 15 threes, just like New Zealand did, then maybe they can make it competitive. But apart from that, we should have the advantage and we should cruise to an easy win here.
So you got a bingo the other day when you said, jackpot when, fearless forecast. We have to give it to you. And we were talking about you, Cheska and I, last night. Na, wow, Enzo is actually correct. We won, close game. It was tough. Hong Kong, will we win by a big margin? Or what do you think?
We should win by a big margin today. We beat them by 30 on the road.
Yes.
In the first window, we're playing at home. We're confident. We have the advantage from 1 through 12. I think KQ's going to play. Maybe Mason's going to play. They're going to be hungry to prove themselves as well.
Maybe Ange Kwame will also
Maybe
play,
Ange will play in place of Justin Brownlee. That's a possibility as well. We should win 40 points.
Well, whoa, okay.
Playing at home, confident. So.
Na-excite ako bigla.
But don't bet on that. May mag-text sa akin.
Enzo naman sabi mo.
Patay ka na. No? But, brother, thank you.
Thank you, Enzo.
Always a pleasure having you here on Play-by-Play. The doors of the show always
My
open
pleasure.
to you, Mr. Hoopnut. Enzo Flojo, of course, Gilas Media Officer, Gilas Youth Assistant Coach, Enzo Flojo. Again, no, I mean it. Sulat mo yung mga lucky numbers natin.
All right,
Thank you,
thanks
Zo.
again, Enzo.
Thanks.